getting ready. I think they'll be letting people in. There we go. Okay, now we have people coming in. Welcome. Good morning and welcome. We'll go ahead and get started in just a moment. We are just waiting for everybody to join us. So thank you for being here. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I know many of you are still tuning in, but we have so much information for you today. I want to make sure that we get it all in. I'm Terry Kimball, President and CEO of the Chandler Chamber, and I want to do a shout out to the Ahwatukee Foothills, AJ Chamber, Carefree Cave Creek, Fountain Hills, Gilbert, Queen Creek, and Tempe Chamber of Commerce for joining us. So thanks for being here. We're going to go ahead, and we have all kinds of financial information available for you today. We're going to help you get the most out of your financial relationships and businesses services as you're coming out of this business interruption. So today we have joining us Jeff Wentzel and David Carlson with Desert Financial Credit Union. And I want to welcome you because Desert Financial has really stepped up to the plate in many communities in really assisting businesses. It's not only about your members or your clients, it's really about just doing the right thing. So Jeff is a senior business relationship manager and has over 40 years experience in the banking industry because he started when he was 10. Starting as a part-time teller at Norwest Bank while at the University of Minnesota in '78. He came to the Valley in '93 and got his MBA from W.P. Carey School of Business Executive Program at ASU in 2004. He joined Desert Financial in 2016. So thank you, Jeff, for your expertise, and thank you for joining us. We also have Treasury Management Officer David Carlson. David advises business owners and executives on best practices for liquidity management, risk management, receivables, and disbursement strategies. He structures full service treasury and cash management solutions for companies to accelerate their business growth. He holds a bachelor's degree from Central New England College of Technology in Worcester, Massachusetts. Prior to moving to Arizona in 2004, he worked for community banks in Massachusetts. He's also a member of the local chapter of the Association for Financial Professionals. So, wow, very impressive backgrounds, and thank you for joining us. And so we also have Michelle and her team. Michelle, wave so everybody can see you, guys, because they are the ones that are the boots on the ground and really helping to make these happen and drive us forward. So, and then of course we will talk after their presentation. We're going to hear from Paula on all the changes with SBA, and Paula is an SBDC business analyst, and Paula's with us every week, and we really appreciate that. So Jeff and David, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Terry. It's a pleasure for us to be here today. And, you know, these really are unprecedented times from a financial standpoint. I certainly have never seen anything like it in my nearly 40 years. You're right. I started as a part-time teller at, I think I was just 18 years old in Minnesota, and it's been quite a ride. We love Arizona, and so pleased to be with Desert Financial. It's very similar to banking in the old days, and you know, we really need that today, relationship oriented. I think today folks are going to be very interested in what's going on with the PPP loan program, and I know Paula has some information. We do also. So let's get started. Next slide, please. That's our corporate office, by the way, at 48th and Washington. We have 320 some thousand members in the Valley. We just have recently been approved for a statewide charter, which is very exciting for us. We can now do business with folks throughout the state. 320 some thousand members locally. We're the largest credit union in Arizona with assets of about $4 billion. It's very nice to be in the community. So let's get started on the current conditions and planning for the future. You know, with COVID, business has been virtually come to a standstill, and there are things that the government and lenders have done to try and assist. So we can go to the next slide. Probably the most impactful today opportunity for small businesses is the Paycheck Protection Program. We're coming up on the close of this program. June 30th is the last day that you can apply for funding. You can get up to $10 million. That hasn't happened very often. I'm sure you've seen in the news the repercussions from some of the public companies that have applied and obtained that. Desert Financial has done approximately 1,000 loans since the program began. I believe it was April 4th. There have been 2 rounds of funding, and our average loan size to date is about $42,000. So we're really helping the people that the program is intended for. The good news is there is plenty of funding remaining. There's over $100 billion, approximately $130 billion remaining for people that haven't been able to take advantage of the program yet for one reason or another. Things are changing, ever changing, it seems, with the SBA and the government with this program. Senator McSally had said on a call that I was on last week that Washington was interested in getting this program out quickly, knowing that there would be, wouldn't be perfect. They wanted it quick. They didn't want it perfect, so that the money got to the people in a hurry. Anybody that is still interested and hasn't obtained a PPP loan loan yet can go to our website and fill out a short form, and we can contact you to make application right away. Generally, it can be a same day sort of turnaround for you. And we are accepting applications from non-members as well as our own clients, which are members for the credit union business. Next slide, please. So we also have created, Desert Financial itself, created a emergency relief loan for small business for loans up to $25,000. You can see the parameters there. Now, anyone that's physically located within the state is eligible to obtain this loan. Must be privately owned, meaning not a public company, and have been established for at least 3 years. Will require a guarantee of the owner's personal guarantee, and there is an online application available again at our website. You can also look there for more details on the program, but we're trying to give small business access to capital in as many ways as possible. And we're hopeful that this will be helpful. Next slide. We're going to take questions too, by the way, at the end. So we'll be here as long as you want us here. So write them down or hold on to them, and we'll get to them after Paula finishes her presentation. Tempe Small Business Emergency Program is something that we partnered with on the city of Tempe, and loan amounts up to $20,000. 4% fixed interest rate. Rates are awesome today, as low as I've ever seen them in my 38 years of banking, commercial banking. Again, you can apply online. We partnered with the city, and we're looking to expand that to other municipalities. I know that, I don't know if Michelle, did you visit with Chandler Leadership Mayor on that, or?
We did. Terry facilitated a meeting with the Chandler Leadership and had a great conversation with them. It's in consideration right now.
We also have put this out to the Greater Phoenix Economic Council to see if we might expand this program with their help to other municipalities. So again, Desert Financial is just trying to get capital into the hands of the small business owners that will be needing it as we continue on in their startup reopening. We can go to the next slide. Here is, if you go to Chandler Chamber resource page, there are other programs that you can refer to and get more information about. Again, I think it's really been commendable on the part of communities, most financial institutions, and the government, frankly, in trying to put capital in the hands of small business in this really unprecedented and difficult time for business. You can refer to those different loan programs and contact your bank or anybody here at Desert Financial, Paula, and we can help you get detail on that. Next slide, please. Here's another opportunity for you to references for additional resources. This particular article highlights our Desert Financial's cooperation partnership with Tempe as it relates to the small business relief loan. Again, we hope to continue expanding that to other communities. Michelle, I'm not sure if, can businesses located outside of Tempe apply for this program?
This particular program is limited to businesses in Tempe. But like you said, we are talking to other municipalities. Hope to have some other things.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. We can go to the next slide, please. Looking ahead, you know, I've been a commercial banker, as I mentioned, as Terry mentioned, for a lot of years. And part of the issue that's going to be facing business owners as they reopen is access to capital as they ramp back up in their inventories. Restaurants are going to need product, and you know, this PPP money has originally been intended to be able to keep staff on hand and keep people paid so you have employees when you do reopen. So it becomes important to kind of look ahead and see what are we going to do when we actually reopen and are starting to generate revenue again. So we'll try and help you a little bit with that with the next slide. Okay, well, this kind of explains exactly what I was just talking about. Determining what your cash flow needs are going to be on a go-forward basis as you reopen. It's unlikely that you've been able to hold on to a significant amount of liquidity as you've continued to have to pay people and pay bills as you were not generating revenue. We can help you with that. Your bankers can help you with that. If you don't have a bank relationship, an individual that you can call, I strongly recommend that you reach out. stop in a branch, find that business relationship manager that you can talk to one-on-one. That's not easy today. It's one of the reasons that I'm at Desert Financial, because it's a relationship-oriented institution, but push for it. Wells Fargo, Chase, the large banks do have business bankers available, business specialists. It's very important that you maintain or establish and maintain and grow that relationship with an individual. We'd be happy to discuss with you your challenges that you're facing as you reopen. Next slide. Line of credit is a way to do that for your inventory, your working assets. Again, that's a revolving line typically. We just passed that. This is different, this slide, I'm sorry. But a cash flow line of credit is generally for your current expenses. As you generate revenue, you repay. It's a little bit like an individual's home equity line of credit or an overdraft line of credit for business, essentially is what that is. Here, equipment and inventory lending. Equipment lending is generally a term type of purchase, like you're financing a car purchase. If you're buying equipment, need refreshing, you'll need to, you can obtain 100% financing in some instances on this equipment and just pay for it over time. All of the, again, the financial institutions in town and SBA has the availability to provide this type of financing for you. Inventory purchases are more in line with the line of credit that I just spoke about a minute ago, a cash flow line, because as you're acquiring inventory, you may advance on a line of credit to do that. And as you sell that inventory, you're paying that line back down so that it's available for your next inventory purchases or payroll. You know, that those two types of credit are available today. They remain available. There's a line in here about how to title your vehicles. And again, that you want to check with a tax advisor on. Desert Financial and other financial institutions have both personal and business vehicle financing available for you. And again, that's your typical 4, 5, 6, 7 year terms today. For high-end business vehicles, trucks and so forth, large trucks, you can get extended financing for that. But again, you'd want to check with your CPA, whoever your tax advisor is, about the best way to title your vehicles if you own a business. Next slide, please. Today, one of the most exciting things, despite the fact that our businesses have been essentially shut down for 90 days, is that interest rates are near zero. It's really an unbelievable time to be financing if you have the wherewithal to do that. If you'll go to the next slide, we'll take a look at that. Today, purchasing commercial real estate to house your business is absolutely, in my mind, the way to go if you have the ability to do that, for a number of reasons, that couple of which are listed here. A hedge against inflation and the current interest rate environment. You can borrow funds to buy a building today in the low 4% range, fixed for 10 years with up to a 25-year amortization. Let's go to the next slide. I think we have some detail on that in the presentation that we'll get to. You also have the ability to take advantage of the appreciation if you own the building and finance it through a bank. If you also have the opportunity, if you buy a building that has excess space, allowing you to expand into the future, to lease some of that space to a third party, which provides additional income opportunities for you. There's also opportunities if your business houses the if the property houses your business, to pass rent through in different means, again, in consult with your CPA relative to the best tax way to do that. Next slide, please. Autonomy is a big one. If you currently lease property, you already know the advantage of being able to operate without any sorts of restrictions from a landlord. That can be a big one. And again, community, you know, building relationships in the community as a property owning member of the community can be very advantageous for you. Next slide. Okay. These are examples of different expenses, depreciation and interest expense that can lower your taxable income. And as you go through those, you can determine what the savings are. You can do a lease versus buy comparison. I believe there's actually an example of this later in the presentation. But again, many advantages to purchasing, and today with interest rates where they are, definitely something that you would want to be considering right now if you have the opportunity to do so. Also refinance, I might mention. Rates had been quite low now for some time, but there are some loans, commercial real estate loans, that are coming due that had maturities of 10 years or 5 years. And that long ago, rates were much higher, I believe, than what they are today. So take a look at your existing interest rates, and if they're, you know, even a half a point, half a percent higher than where they are today, I would say 1%. If you can save 1%, that's definitely an advantage to pursue right away. But talk to your banker. We'd be happy to have that conversation with you if you'd just like an objective opinion. So next slide, please. Here's some other advantages. A retirement asset, again, the appreciation of this building, you know, at some point down the road, you can either sell or pass on to the next generation. And non-mortgage related expenses are possibly deductible, that can save you taxes as you maintain your property. Next slide. This is a lease versus buy comparison. It's very busy. Go ahead and take a look at it at your leisure. We won't go through it today, but you can certainly contact us, Michelle, Angela over at the Chandler office, and we can walk you through it. But basically, folks, the idea is today, buying a building asset to house your business or even for an investment is really quite attractive. Even for those debt averse people out there, which typically bankers are very appreciative of, you really need to be looking at acquiring your building if you're leasing it. Next slide. Underwriting, you know, when you go for a loan, what do they look at? What do I look at? FICO standards, you know, this is your credit bureau score. Less important to a commercial banker than perhaps to borrow to personally for a car or a house. But you know, if it's over 650, let's say, the only time it's a problem is if it's a problem, and then it can be explained. We need to show that you have the ability to repay the building loan, and that's where the debt service coverage comes in. That's a calculation that says your cash flow, available cash flow to service or repay a loan on a monthly basis is 1.35 times the loan payment, the interest and principal payment. Generally 3 years in business with positive cash flow, again, being able to show that you can afford the building or the financing for the building that you're requesting. Again, there are caveats to everything. 2 out of 3 years is sometimes possible as well. again, it's just having a discussion with a face-to-face discussion with a banker. Personal guarantees are always required for these loans. So we're not taking your house generally as collateral against a personal guarantee, but as a small business owner, you kind of are your business. So we want you to stand behind the loan also. That's why guarantees are required. This last item here, you need to be a member, and that means that you would need to be registered within the state of Arizona. Next slide. Down payments, a 504 loan, you can get as low as 10% down for an SBA 504 loan. That's primarily why someone would take out a 504, because they don't have a significant amount of cash down payment to make and still want to make a purchase. Conventional loan through me at Desert Financial or one of my people, my comrades there, or any other commercial bank, generally 25% down to 33% down. Again, it depends on the situation. Another thing that's advantageous today in buying is, not too long ago, origination fees for loans like this were 1%, typically 1%. So, you know, on $1 million loan, that's $10,000. Today, those fees are down to 0.25%, sometimes zero. So it's very inexpensive to get into a loan too. Borrowers always pay out-of-pocket fees, which include appraisal and title insurance and environmental. But you can generally get a loan done for about 1% in total fees of the loan amount. That's just kind of a ballpark. Next slide, please. I'm happy to turn it over to my partner, David Carlson, who's going to visit with you a little bit about liquidity and managing your cash and paying and receiving, right, David?
Yes, thanks, Jeff. And just by way of a little bit of what I do, I partner with folks like Michelle on the business sales specialist side, Angie in the branch, and Jeff on the commercial relationship manager roles. So I try to add value and grow our deposit relationships. And Treasury Management, I just want to try to keep it a little bit on the simple side for us, but Treasury Management is essentially our implementation and delivery of our products and services that help businesses manage their receivables and disbursement strategies, manage liquidity, and overall mitigate risk. But I just want to touch on a couple of items, and I think they're important for the environment that we're all living and working in today, as most of us are still working remotely. So next slide, please. And I'll go over just a couple of our products that we can discuss. Account analysis, we have several types of accounts at Desert Financial, but I'd like to focus on account analysis for those businesses that have a high volume of transactions, maybe some higher balances. Though account analysis is a way of utilizing their balances to offset a lot of their service charges that banks and credit unions can charge. What's nice is we can perform an analysis for you to let you know that A, you're in the right account, or B, maybe we need to move your account into something new so that we can either save you some money. Maybe you're keeping too much money in your checking account. Maybe some of that needs to be moved over to a money market account to get a little bit more income. So there's a lot of good that can come out of by having someone look at your banking relationship and your account structure that it is right now. So that's where we can add value there. Next slide, please. So again, on some of the products that we offer at Desert Financial, I just want to focus on a couple things. Again, try to focus on how we are all working remotely and how some of these products can assist with making your lives a little bit easier. We have ACH origination. ACH, I think we've all heard of what ACH is for probably direct deposit and things like that, but it can also be used for vendor payments, cut down on the number of checks that you're writing. So business to business payments, collection, consumer to business, think like health club memberships, anytime that you want to collect funds from a consumer, and again, for direct deposit. So if you are a company that today is just writing checks to your employees, think about offering direct deposit for your employees. No need to go to a branch to make a deposit. You get your money on payday, and then you can just use your debit card, go to the ATM to get cash. So it makes things a lot easier. For those of you that do any type of wire transfers, most banks, and we at Desert Financial offer a system to do online wire transfers. So if you're paying vendors on a routine basis, we can set that up where you can do it at the comfort of your own office. We have a strategy that's in place to make certain that all risks are averted so that no fraudulent wires are going out. So we have that in place too. And then lastly, I think everyone is familiar with remote capture. Remote deposit capture is whereby you use a desktop scanner to make your deposits. So again, no need to go into a branch. What's nice about this is thinking about how that desktop scanner would reside in someone's office. Well, thinking about what has happened in the last 90 days, it's it's pretty easy, just like your computer equipment, to just take that scanner and bring it home with you. So there's no interruption on going to the branch to make your deposits if you have a high volume of checks. And again, if you just want to create efficiencies at your office. Next slide, please. And here's some other services that we do offer. They are not specifically within my department, but they are still part of that payables and receivables solution. So we like to partner with our merchant services and payroll services. We do offer business credit cards, and we do have an work employee benefits program coming out pretty soon. Many of you might know it as the old Bank at Work program, but we're calling it Credit Union at Work Employee Benefits Program. Next slide.
This is us.
This is us, yes. In better attire.
Yeah, you know, folks, please feel free to call any one of us on any of this information that you've gotten today. Happy to help you with it. You know, I think in David's presentation, everybody's working to get to as much of a no-touch sort of work environment and remittances as possible, and we're working right along those lines as well. The one thing that I'd like to emphasize is Angela and Michelle, David and myself, there are 48 odd branches in the Valley with many folks just like us that would be happy to talk to you. And if you happen to be banking somewhere else, don't give up trying to make direct contact with a business banker. It's really critical today that you are able to find somebody that you can get face-to-face with and discuss these things. Small businesses or not, there are people available. You just have to absolutely demand it. I can't tell you how important that is in my mind, based on my experience over all the years for successful businesses as they move forward. It's that personal touch and personal contact. That's it for us.
All right, great information. And I just want to thank Desert Financial because you guys are really doing some things, thinking out of the box, really kind of breaking the mold and making sure that you're really there to help small business. And I will tell you, anybody who's watching online or watching this after, if you don't have a relationship with your financial institution, that is critical. Don't think that they're the bad guys. Even if you get turned down, they're there to help you. Let them help you, help navigate to get you to the next level. Or let's get the SBDC involved with Paula because she can help you from a business counseling services component. And these are no cost services that are here. So the partnership, whether it's with the credit union, Desert Financial, or with SBDC, is absolutely invaluable. So Paula, what's the latest?
All right, thanks, Terry. Yes, and just to add to that, as Terry said, I'm a business analyst or counselor with the SBDC, and it really is no fee services. You know, we work to build long-term relationships with our small businesses, those in any industry, anywhere along that life cycle phase. We work with startups, those scaling up, even those very established businesses. We have some great services for you. And we're able to do that because we're funded by the Small Business Administration and then also here locally by Maricopa Community Colleges. So you'll find our counselors across Maricopa County. And I'm one of the East Valley counselors available to help small businesses, also based at Gateway when we're working from our offices, but we're working virtually now. So I would encourage you to seek us out, and I'll provide some contact information here at the end of the presentation. So next slide, please. So really this is perfect, you know, along with the Desert Financial presentation, that, you know, one of the main things that we provide to our small businesses is we help them get lender ready. It is so important when you know that you need funding that you prepare for that. Success really requires that preparation and planning. If you would click forward, I have another graphic on the screen. So here, to keep it very simple, there's a lot of detail behind each of the three blocks, but this kind of represents how we help our small businesses when we say we help them get lender ready. What we do is we sit down with them, kind of that initial assessment, look at their financials, talk about what their funding needs are, learn about their business, and just start to identify, you know, what are the strengths in the picture and what are the opportunities for improvement. And then with that information, then we can kind of tell and give them some guidance as far as what lenders out there in the community, because there are many options, what lenders fit their industry, the amount they're looking for, the use of funds. And then we provide lender referrals. We need to provide 2 or 3 to our clients, kind of to help start, you know, shopping for the right lender for the funding that you need. Oftentimes we talk to clients and they say, well, I was declined by 2 or 3 lenders. Well, sometimes it's just that they're not going to the right people to make that ask. And so we help our clients identify who those right lenders are, provide those warm introductions, ease that conversation. And then also just preparation for the lender meeting. We'll sit down, we'll review your financials. We'll talk about not only your business situation, but your personal financial situation. We'll provide the documents and some templates for you, maybe to start developing a debt schedule, just all the different things that we know the lenders are going to be asking for based on what they're looking for in their funding needs. So those 3 blocks represent quite a bit of work, but we're here to help you through that, and it's really all about that preparation and planning. Now, oftentimes we have clients, they say, you know, I'm not interested, I don't need a loan from a lender, and I like to tell them that's great. But it's still important to be opportunity ready because you never quite know, you know, what's coming down the road for the business. Now, in this case, with the whole COVID pandemic, we've been working with a lot of small businesses that, you know, have never gone to the lender. We're not prepared to produce P&Ls and balance sheets and tax documents aren't up to date. So there are things that it's important to have done to be opportunity ready. So go ahead and click forward to bring that next animation on the screen. So I just want you to kind of think about, are you opportunity ready? Do you have your basic toolkit in place? Are you using it? Can you produce income statements and balance sheets? Cash flow? Are you budgeting every year? Are you monitoring your personal credit scores? And are you building your business credit? Very important as you're looking to grow that business, take advantage of funding opportunities. Are your taxes up to date? We've been working with a lot of clients and they haven't quite got their taxes up to date. And if you've been applying for some of these loans, they're asking for this documentation. Are you meeting with the accountant? Just like David and Jeff had mentioned, meeting with these resources for some planning. Those are the experts you really, really need in your business to set that strong foundation for growth. Are you managing your cash flow? Are you reinvesting in your business? And we could go on. We could build this list much longer. But I want all of you to kind of think about, what are you doing here to be opportunity ready for the future? Go ahead, click forward. Now, the PPP loan update. So as most of you probably know, the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act was passed. And some new guidance had just been released. It was either last night or this morning. But for today, I just want to highlight just a couple of the key changes. So basically, this Flexibility Act extends the covered period from what was that 8-week period to use those funds out to 24 weeks. June 30th is that date for those new applications and approval for those PPP loans. So if you've not yet applied, I would encourage, call Desert Financial, reach out. There are still lenders offering PPP loans, but you need to take action now on that. The payroll forgiveness level, it has been reduced to 60% for those payroll expenditures. So hopefully that will make hitting that point much easier for small businesses so they can achieve that forgiveness level rather than having to convert to that 1% loan. It also extends the 6-month deferral period for payment out, and the loan maturity period is extended out to 5 years. It was 2 years out to 5 years. And remember that loan forgiveness is through your lender. So we're working with quite a few clients who they're up to that 8-week period already, and they're getting nervous about the forgiveness process. So what I'd just like to share with you is just reach out to your lender, let you know you've kind of hit that 8-week period. But also just know that with this new Flexibility Act, still waiting for additional guidance and some gray areas, that you don't necessarily need to be in a panic to get the application submitted right away this week. There is some time here to get it done, and it may be to your advantage to just take a breath. And hopefully they're going to update that forgiveness application, which is quite complicated. We're hearing that perhaps a simplified form is coming. So it may be to your benefit to just take a breath, let your lender know you're kind of ready for forgiveness, but we're waiting for that guidance and hopefully that application form. Okay, next slide. And just a reminder, still a lot of information about the loan forgiveness program, the PPP loans, the U.S. Department of Treasury, and the SBA. Those are your two primary sources for the most up-to-date information. So the links are here, and you can find that guidance that was just posted. You'll find that up on that page. So I encourage you to please seek out these sources for information. Next slide. And just very quickly on idle advances and the loans, we're continuing to hear from our clients. They're still receiving those idle advances, just dropped automatically into their bank accounts. We have clients that are still receiving the idle loans, and we have those that are also being declined. So, that idle application portal is closed, except if you're an agricultural business. So if you're in the agricultural business, you can still apply for the idle loans, and that is through the SBA.gov website. It still appears that those loan amounts are being capped at $150,000. As far as declines go, we're kind of hearing, it's not very transparent, but what we're hearing is some of these decisions are being based on that credit score. If you're kind of in that mid 600 range, you're probably okay, but At the lower end, it sounds like those are some of the businesses that are being declined. Here again, monitoring your credit score, working on your business, very important. There is a reconsideration process, so if you are declined, you do get a letter and there is information as to why you were declined and some next steps that you can take and contact information. Next screen. And here again is just a listing of our services of how we help our small businesses. So of course, it's been all about the COVID and the disaster loans, but now we are moving in and helping our clients now seek out additional funding. So we're working with them on getting lender ready and finding the right lenders for their needs. But then as you can see here on the screen, so many different areas: growth strategies, business plan review and development, sales and marketing. We have experts in exporting and international trade, in manufacturing, and also in government contracting. So if those are areas of interest to you, we have no-fee resources that can assist. Next screen. Very easy to request counseling. You just go to maricopasbdc.com and click on the request counseling link. Fill out the form. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute. That'll put you into our system and you'll be assigned a lead counselor who will contact you to schedule an initial counseling session, and we'll just sit down and learn about your business, identify your challenges, and identify some next step actions and see how SBDC can help you. And I think our final slide, that's our contact information again. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, Michelle, Angie, I know Angie is with you in there. You have given us a lot of information today, so let's go ahead and start some of the programs or some of the questions. The first one is that I know that Jeff asked where I know that we presented with the city of Chandler on the programs similar to that you've done in Tempe. I just wanted to let everybody know that the city of Chandler is still reviewing this program and has not given us an update on that. So if any of you businesses want to give a gentle nudge, we are appreciative. I know that they've got a lot going on at New CARES Act funding that has just come down, and there's a work session tonight at City Council to discuss that. So how they're going to spend that $30 million that they got. So hopefully it's back in the palms of business. Couple of questions. Desert Financial Street Loan Program.
I'm sorry, Terry, you broke up a little bit. Can you repeat that?
Is Desert Financial offering the Main Street Loan Program?
We are not. We are not. That
that help? Is that better?
That is better. There is actually the Chandler Chamber has the resource page is wonderful, and there is a link to the Main Street program through the Chamber website there. It'll take you right to an online application with them, but Desert Financial is not facilitating that.
Okay. What types of documentation should those applying for your special funding programs plan to submit?
We're looking for tax returns, a couple years of tax returns. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Michelle. Yeah, tax returns definitely, it depends on, I guess, what it is you're actually looking for or applying for relative to what types of information. Generally, if it's a small business, we would also require personal information, a personal financial statement, and personal tax returns in a business, in addition to the business returns. For the PPP loan program, it's very simple. It's primarily payroll documentation that they need to back up identification, owner IDs, back and front of driver's license, and their corporate entity documents. And that's essentially it in order to apply for and get approved for the PPP loan, which again, they need to have that done by June 30th if they're going to move forward with that. But
and there is still money.
Plenty, and all of the lenders have gotten very good at executing today. You know, we actually can get a loan approved for funding same day if the applicant has the information. The application takes about 40 minutes maybe to complete, and just upload these few documents, and it's very quick. So it's not as painful as you might expect. I would really encourage any small businesses that have been negatively impacted by COVID to go ahead and apply.
And I also want to point out, and I know Paula said this week after week, even if you are a sole proprietor, an independent contractor, you need to apply for these loans. It's free money. Well, relatively free. Okay, Jeff, the worksheet that you showed when you were talking about purchasing versus leasing, is that a fillable form that people can, if we provide that they can plug in their own numbers just to kind of see where they're at?
I don't believe it was, Terry. Was it, Michelle?
It was not, but I can create an Excel spreadsheet and provide that to you guys, where they could do their own.
I just thought it was really nice the way you had it side by side. It was very clean, very simple, I know you said it was detailed. I've seen a lot more complicated. I thought it was a really good representation, because now is the time that if people are looking at that, now is the time to really take a look at that. So
You bet. Well, Michelle, that's great. She can put that together and get that out to you, Terry, so you can distribute to whoever has an interest.
Okay. How much paperwork is involved in a 504 loan?
Paula, you want to take one?
That, you know, oops, sorry. The 504 loans, I'm not as involved with that. I mean, typically our checklist it's like historical financials, P&Ls, balance sheets, tax returns, personal financial statements, sometimes asset schedules, debt schedules, right? It depends on the different situations, but that's kind of a standard rundown of the list. And I'm sure there could be more than that.
Yeah, it's not incredibly more detailed than a typical conventional loan, Terry, but there is additional paperwork that's involved necessarily because you've got the government involved. So, but done a number of them over the years, and it's not incredibly painful and serves a real nice purpose if you don't have a significant amount of liquidity to put in cash as a down payment. Serves you well.
I know some of the things that we're also talking about is sometimes people just get overwhelmed with the overall paperwork. And that's why, you know, you said about it being 40 minutes to put the application in. That's your people putting in the application. That's not for the business, correct?
No, I really do believe it's pretty simple. 40 minutes was outside. I think it's more like 30 actually. And it's really, today people have been using computers now for quite some time, me included, and applying online for a home mortgage, for instance. It's much simpler than that. And, you know, people would know 5 minutes after they get involved how easy it's going to be for them. It's really not difficult at all. I talked with some applicants as they were going through it who were stressed by it. But again, don't let that hold you back. It's not difficult, and you can call us. We'll help you through it.
So David, one of the things that you talked about on your slide, things like the ACH and those types of things, the scanners, what are some of the easiest cost or most cost-effective tools that businesses can use?
I would say if they want to streamline their payments system, using ACH, you know, most banks, most financial institutions, credit unions, yes, there's fees involved, but when you take the cost of processing a check to pay a vendor, pay a utility company, all of the time that it takes to get that check through the system, depending on the approval process, you can streamline that with ACH. And if you're doing your payables on a weekly basis, bi-weekly basis, monthly basis, it's a much easier process. And I think most companies, individuals would welcome having an electronic payment go right into their account.
And I know that we've had some CPAs on here before and giving great information to our businesses. But one of the things that we're also hearing is from a audit standpoint, or when people are doing their taxes and so forth, it really is nice from the auditing standpoint, if a company were ever to be audited, that it's all right there, because you'll see that on that bank statement and so forth. And it's just another form of documentation that people who like that, all that paperwork, like to see. So, all right. We are just about out of time, and I want to thank each and every one of you, because I know that even though I hear all this all the time, I know that I still continue to learn new things. So thank you so much for that. David and Jeff and Michelle, you and tell Angie we said thank you. And Paula, again, appreciate it changes weekly on updates from SBA on what is happening. And I think it's really important to have you here. Next week, we will be talking about marketing during turbulent times with Jeff Cohen with Commit Agency. He's the Chief Digital Officer. We'll teach you how to market your business in the new normal and learn to stay on top of your customers during this next phase of emergence. So I think that that's important, because we need to figure out the way people aren't coming through the doors as quickly as they used to. We need to have that digital door open too, so that people know that we are open for business, so that we can pay these loans off and that. So thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us. All of the PowerPoints will be available online as well. So we can, and we will email those out so that you have everybody's contact information. These people are also there just to, even if you wanted to shoot them 1 or 2 questions, go ahead and do that. That's really important. So I want to do a shout out and thank my other chamber colleagues for being here. The Ahwatukee Foothills, Apache Junction, Carefree Cave Creek, Gilbert, Tempe, and I know I'm forgetting one. My team didn't put the slide back up, so Queen Creek. So thank you so much. I appreciate their partnership, and we will see you next week, Thursday at 10 a.m. Thanks again.